to like farmer. So, it looks, we have enough for a quorum. Let's start whenever we're ready to start.
All right. Welcome, everybody. We got a full room. Awesome. Thanks for showing up. It's 4 o'clock. We are gonna get this meeting started. Jamie, who do we have on the call? Anybody?
Deborah Smith, Debbie's with the TDA. She's the deputy director. And I, had always included TDA for the, meeting requests and reminders, just so they can stay in the loop with what we've got going on. So I think she's just calling in to listen unless, but she's welcome to say anything she likes.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us, Debbie. All right, everybody, first up, we've got some minutes to look at from last month's meeting. And go over those. Any changes to that? We can entertain a motion to change the minutes or to accept them as they are.
I will accept them unless somebody has an issue with them.
We have a second? We need more time?
Second.
All right,
All in favor?
all in favor? Any opposed? Awesome. All right. Looking along, do we have anyone for public comment? Anybody? All right. Next up, the agenda here, we've got a pretty straightforward agenda today. So, I'll take a look at that and, entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Thank you. In a second.
Second.
Thank you.
All in favor?
It's approved. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Team and staff reports.
Okay, and I'm sorry, I didn't get this. This is part of the related in the packet. Before we get to the subcommittees, I do have just a couple of items that I added in as far, so the following up on this special event and street closure conversation. So on March 26th, there's going to be a city council workshop that's going to be specifically about special events just in general. So the city council workshop meetings, that's their second meeting of the month. And so those meetings tend to be kind of specific items that are addressed, so that way they've got some time to go through it, where some of the council meetings have a lot of stuff on it. So it's hard to go into more detail. And so whenever we and those meetings don't typically have public comment. So we met internally to work through the agenda for it. And so what we'll present as far as with the downtown board is, or with downtown staff, is an overview of all the events that happen, and the numbers of street closures, number of people who tend to come to them, and then also the feedback that's been from the board as far as the towing and all of that. We'll have that as a part of the presentation. And then also police and public works will include their information as far as total costs of an event for public works, as far as on just taxpayers, because we definitely charge less for event fees and the real true cost to it is. And we want to have that we want to have good events, so we don't want to make them unattainable for event organizers to do, but we also want to understand the cost for it. So that's where we'll go through all of that. And it might be some more discussion on our event fees, because we did those in this board a couple of years ago. So there might just be some updates to those. Yeah, so that'll be on March 26th. And right now the council meetings are in City Hall on second floor, because the operations building is flooded. And so it'll be a while till that's back open.
What time do those normally happen?
Those are at 4. The regular city council meetings are normally at 5:45, but the workshops are at 4. And they're always recorded too. Are there any questions or anything on the special event? Parking coupons, just I checked on, I pulled, I think I said last month, we'd done the free parking coupons that we do during the early part of the year. And so I just pulled how many we've done so far or that have been used. And so far, there's been 352 that have been used. And the total cost was about $1,600. Not that we paid, but that were the value of the free coupons.
Is that promo code, that local
Mhm.
5 thing?
Yeah.
Where'd it come from?
We had a Park Mobile code that was just a free parking pass that we sent out, and we sent it out. We did this last Tuesday, sent it out to all the water bill customers
That's great.
online, and then just
Thank you,
put it out. Some of the businesses have put them out. And then also parking enforcement has been doing little slips. When they do tickets or anything, yeah. I have like, use this free code to come back the next time, just to try to get people to,
Pay your $25, get a free.
yeah, and most of them are warnings anyway. And so we're kind of just keeping track of those and really trying to use that to encourage people to use the app as much as we can, because the app has less issues than the kiosk tends to. Then the last thing I've got is just a reminder that we won't have a board meeting in March, but because we'll have the North Carolina Main Street Conference. If anybody would like to go to it, March 11th through 13th, we typically are able to pay for the registration in the hotel rooms, and then you're kind of on your own for meals. And so if anyone would like to go, just get with me. I'm getting that figured out. It's in Mooresville this year, so it's not too far away. And I think, let's see, Joe's going to the national conference, and then Jerry's going to the state.
What is it? What is it?
This agreement supersedes
Huh?
the last agreement,
Um,
because you already have a listed agreement where you're paying no cap commissions at a secret.
So, yeah, so it's in Mooresville. So if anybody wants to go, it's a lot of fun and you learn a lot on it, especially like as board members. But like, I've been going to these for a long time, so a lot of it's kind of the same stuff that I've heard a lot, but for new people, it's a really good one to go to. And with it not being very far away, definitely recommend it. So if you want to go, just let me know. We'll work on getting that, registered. That's all I've got for kind of general items I wanted to share, community character.
Sure. So just an update, we met last week. Was that this last week? Oh my gosh, it was. So we met last week. A big part of our discussion was street festival. As far as the map of the closure and the kind of the general layout, I believe Jamie has sent that out to folks with the sponsor packet as well. So we've got the map layout. So what's happening is community character obviously is organizing the event. We are working with city staff on logistics, event staff on logistics. As far as the individual vendors, we don't really have a key yet. Correct, for the individual vendors. It's just more like some of the farmers market vendors are going to join us on Maple.
Mhm.
There should be some exposure down there. And then kind of, but as far as Keene and anybody else on Seventh from a vendor standpoint, I don't think we have a lot of the space.
Yeah, Linda and Lana with Pasta Noodles, they were gonna talk to other businesses in the district, and kind of keep it to just the district businesses to be able to set up, so inviting them to come. And I think they just sent kind of a preliminary email out because that was before we'd had kind of a schedule put together for it. And then, of course, any of the businesses on Seventh can have.
Right, so again, the overall highlight of this event is to feature, first of all, the official opening ceremony, the ribbon cutting for Seventh, and also to really focus on the businesses that are here, that are already here on Seventh, and new businesses as well. So we do have the most active one will be right across the street from us in the old Chicken Shack space. Husband and wife doing a new restaurant concept there. They will not be open on May 3rd, but they've expressed interest to being a part of the event, which I think is great. And the only other report I have on that would be music. So the idea was that if we could make it work with the budget and sponsorships, that we would actually have a couple musical groups and we would cap it off with a headliner. that would perform 3 to 5. And there's a strong possibility for the Stipe Brothers to join us on that day. Stipe Brothers, positive, very, very positive music. They always draw a crowd. It'd be a great draw for the event, for the day. So,
To add on that, so we've been working with the Art League, who's got some members on the committee about doing the banner reveal. And so trying to work on the logistics on that. I don't know if you've heard anything from on the rescue mission.
No, it was handed off to Anthony and he hasn't.
Okay.
done it.
I think,
we've both spoken to Tim about that, so.
So I-
They're very well.
yeah, and I think we've got another person who I think spoke with him too. So I think we've got pretty good chance on that of where the step up is for the rescue mission to have kind of a little stage area for that. So there'll be a lot of activities going on with it. And I do have printed off sponsorship packages.
What about, are you gonna have anything outside?
So we're definitely doing the pretzel bus, for sure. It's, the bakery will be open, Indie Beans will be open for a portion of the event anyway till 2:00. After 2:00, I'm not sure. After we close at 2:00, but I would like to remain open. We probably will.
Has Minnie said anything? Minnie Bax?
Yeah,
They have,
She wants
Yeah.
to stand, I think.
Mhm.
she wants to stay on?
yeah, because she'll be set up for the farmer's market and send it on.
Cause I know, get on
Mhm.
Appalachian
Yeah,
or TDN.
Mhm.
It might be, I mean, we could also do coffee service, which I think would be nice as well for folks that maybe weren't into beer in the afternoon, a little afternoon pick me up. So we could do something like that. along
Mark
those lines.
Tree is interested in coming in. So, they're outside of the district, but that would add the wine complement.
Mhm.
Uh,
So how do we, because as at last week's meeting, we're beer only. I totally would love for that to happen.
yeah, I
So,
think beer and wine.
I mean, Mark Tree has not been, obviously not part of their district, but they also are, a big part of our community and they have done things with several tenants in the
They've done
district.
it before.
So they've worked with some of the businesses on Seventh Avenue already. Primarily ourselves in Claywood and Art on Seventh as well. So if you're okay with it, I mean, I think if they're interested, I think considering the circumstances, I think that would be a nice option.
I've also put the question to Marcos if they have any interest in being outside.
Mhm.
That's a coin toss probably. If it helps them, or maybe just for the exposure, they would do that. And then we're planning 4 to 6 tents.
Mhm.
So wherever they have to go, to fit in is,
This is specifically for Seventh Avenue businesses.
For this one, yeah. Mhm.
Mark Tree, I guess.
And initially, that's why last week we were discussing the beverage options. Obviously, we want both the district breweries to be there.
Sure.
As far as, and then the discussion was, well, we don't have a winery in the district.
Sure.
So we kind of put that to bed, but we're kind of revisiting right now that given the bigger picture, if everyone thinks it's appropriate, we would be delighted to have Mark Tree join us for the day.
Yeah, we might just want to think about how we can include them as a sponsor to make that a little bit more. So we can talk some more
Okay.
on that. And speaking of sponsors, so we've got committed Hendersonville Oil,
Noble Pest Solutions.
Harper, those are all coming in at $3,000 and Dunlap. That's who we've got so far. So we can, and this, the sponsor just needs to cover the cost of the event. Anything above that will go towards buying swag. And if we get a whole lot more for that, then that will go towards our facade grants. So it's all good. So it's kind of wide open if anybody wants to sponsor.
So aside from food vendors and existing businesses having a food option, musical talent, vendors, activities, since we've got Joe in the room, there was a little bit of talk about dunk tank. Is that something we think might be appropriate? Because I know you have experience with the dunk tank people.
I got a guy.
But as far as an activity. As far as an activity that would really be, I think, you guys, I mean, I kind of harp on about stuff, but I really want the focus of this event to be really positive and really fun. It's been a crappy year last year. It's been a crappy couple of years, so I really want this to be a bright, fun, energetic day. And I think, having something dunk tank with, obviously you guys do, like, that's typically done for some type of charity or some type of organization, correct?
Yeah.
So,
Run.
do we, and I guess I would open this up to anybody that's here on community character as well. Do we have interest in that? Do you think that might be fun?
He's
Yes or
done
no?
well whenever he's done it.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
definitely brought people in, so.
Do you do it for a nonprofit or you just?
Exactly. The first time we did it, we picked a single nonprofit, and then the second time we did, it, we had 3 different nonprofits and buckets, and you could put whoever you wanted to donate to. So.
Who's getting dunked? Is it
You.
like phones?
First
Yeah.
pass.
Local celebrities only.
Slowest.
It'd be still pretty cold May 3rd.
Yeah.
It could be any day.
Yes, but it's for the cause.
I have the phone number of somebody who has the phone number of Steve Martin. He's a local celebrity.
True.
Yeah, let's get him to play.
Now that would be something. Can you imagine?
Yeah,
Yeah.
our police might be a little upset if we
Kenny
have
Rangers featuring Steve Martin. Yeah.
on our little big stage.
But I decided I'd mention it since we have Joe in the room. I mean, if you have contact information that you could share,
Yeah, absolutely.
that'd be awesome. But I was just thinking, we haven't had much talk about activities.
Yeah, and that's more or less, what we kind of told the committee is we'll take care of getting the street closed, figuring out the brewery stuff and the legal permitting for that, getting the stage, booking the bands. Other activities is whoever is on the committee decides they want to do it, kind of thing.
How is the tank filled?
Pose.
From a property owner or?
Yep,
from
exactly.
Anybody that has.
And it does get a little weird, so you may want to empty it and then refill it about half. Gets a little,
Depends on who's being done, I guess. If it was me, there'd be a fine layer of just water, you know what I mean?
Prime, the fire department is happy, seriously,
Yeah,
happy to come. Fill up that,
Oh, yeah, they probably filled up.
yeah, they.
fill up in a second.
Yeah.
They do ours at Art and Bloom on Labor Day. We have 8 50-gallon drums,
yeah.
and so that takes a while. You're not full blast, but, yeah, if we ask them, I guarantee that they'll, yeah. When should we be there?
Yeah.
All right, so I'll get that from you and then we'll put that on next month's community character meeting to definitely get, as we dial in more of the specifics of Street Fest. Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
All right, as far as community character, public art policy. We had a really great discussion about that. Again, I'm not the art guy in the room. I'm surrounded by wonderful people that know a lot more about art than I do. Do you have any comments about that?
We're just moving it back into community character without having a subcommittee. And beyond that, Jamie's putting all the information that had previously been developed, sending it back out so that everybody gets a view.
Yeah, Phil and Patsy put together a lot for it, and I believe Chris and another member of the committee did, so I'm gonna put it all together in something for everybody to look at.
All right, well, that's what we have for community character. We move on to economic vitality.
Economic vitality, we talked about moving the historic preservation grants approval to that subcommittee. And the focus of it, and with the specification that if anything falls under the purview clearly of community character, that will kind of kick it their way before it comes to this board. Which I think is still the procedure for it, right? It will still come to Downtown Advisory Board.
They tend to just go to the committees.
Okay.
And then we'll just update the board after, just to
Keep them in.
keep it moving, yeah,
As far as approval would be at committee.
yeah,
Yeah, approval.
yeah, that's how it's been.
The Love Hendo Recovery Grants, they got a second wave of funding.
Oh, no.
Separate.
Those are, not through the Love Hendo, that's for the Western North Carolina.
Yeah, there's a new grant coming through that went out to everyone that applied to the Love Hendo Recovery Grants, because there's probably some overlap, and if you apply to the Love Hendo grants, you should probably check this one out. I think the date is February 21st.
Yeah, I believe so, and that was for all the counties affected, the state put $20 million into it, and then Dogwood Health Trust put 10 million to make it 30. So and then they just announced Duke Endowment put $5 million. So there's $35 million in this Western North Carolina and small business initiative grant, and that's, like I said, that's all of the counties, and that's through the Appalachian Community Capital is the website that those go through. So some businesses might have already applied for the first round, and you'll have to look as far as businesses go to see if you're already in for the first round, if you're in for the future, because the Love Hendo ones don't have anything to do with those, other than we want people to apply for whatever you can, because the more information we've got for them, or they've got for them, the better, because that, especially since that's affiliated with some state funding, that might help to lobby for more funds as they're needed. Sorry.
And then we talked about state of kind of some downtown properties. Scotty's Jewelry is going through an upfit right now and making good progress, but it's going to be an endeavor that they're seem very committed to, and they're going to fix it up, but no date on that yet. We talked a little bit about what was going on with 7th Avenue. The Chicken Shack building has tenants, and there are new tenants found for the corner of Locust Street and 7th. It will be a new Locust Street address facing that way instead of facing 7th Avenue. And something like, I think 4 units in it, three units.
That's for the Locust Streets. They're on 3.
1, 2, or 3 is.
There's multiple units in that building, possibly in the new building that's being built.
I'm sorry, what's going on with the Scotty's Jewelry?
No idea.
We don't know.
Scotty?
They're just cleaning it up.
It needs a lot of
It
work.
looks rough.
Yeah.
They're just cleaning it up.
Kind of was.
The Jane Asher, same thing. It's just.
That one.
Yeah, Jane Asher, so they're looking in the next little bit. I don't think that they've applied for the encroachment permit yet, but they're talking with the city about taking that aluminum facade off. And so I've told Sam with the planning department, I said, we need to make sure to tell them if they need to like get a sidewalk encroachment to do that, they should do that like now and not like in the summer, because that's gonna be like a big. That could take a while if there's like scaffolding and all that kind of stuff, that could just be a mess. So hopefully they'll work on getting that sooner rather than later. And then I told everyone that Historic Preservation was reviewing it. They were reviewing it, but they were actually just reviewing the windows on the upper part of it and the replacement of those windows. I think they've already gotten the staff approval to take that front facade off, and then they've got designs, which you can actually even see in the window of that building for what their renderings are. But really, one that I don't see how they can do much of the renderings until they get the facade off and actually see what it looks like. But they're making progress on that. So as soon as I find out about them taking that awning off, I'll let everybody know, because
That's
I know we all want to see.
big improvement.
Just cosmetics. They don't have a tenant.
No, yeah, they're getting the building together for it, and they've got plans. Like drawings and designs already laid out for upper floor condo residential for that space. I think those are the two main ones. Tipsy Taco just opened.
They did. They opened this week.
Yeah, they have a soft opening.
Yeah.
Awesome.
The other one, El Paso, has not opened. And I included at the end of this document, just some business that I know of, that anything that's coming and going or.
The Badcock Furniture Building.
Maybe like a gym or something.
Yeah, Strong Hand Fitness.
mhm.
What's it called?
Strong Hand Fitness, they're over,
It was over off of
Strong Hand?
Eighth
yeah.
Avenue.
Yeah, they're over by the Boys and Girls Club.
Yep.
Hmm.
For work, they'll be,
Ray Road. Ray.
yeah.
That's it, yeah. And then we talked about some things that Friends of Henderson has going on, a feasibility study.
Yeah, I can help a little on that.
Yeah.
So, back a couple years ago when I did my Appalachian leadership class, I met. Long story that I'm coming around to why we're doing this. Some of my classmates had applied for a grant through the Appalachian Regional Commission to do feasibility studies for business incubators. And so they asked if we wanted to be a part of it, and I said, yeah, sure. So I just wrote a letter saying that we'd like to be part of it. So we're partners on this grant, and so this group is gonna come in and do some focus groups about business incubators. So to help us give some plans for this space and also for potential like artist studio space that we've talked about, some in economic vitality. So they're coming March 31st through April 1st to do focus groups. And this is nothing that we've had to pay for or anything. And then they'll come out with a feasibility study of just some next steps of what we can do with the space and plans for it, with the idea that because this was a planning grant, we should be able to apply for implementation grants later. That would be like, if the feasibility study says like it needs to have an employee, we might be able to apply for money to pay for an employee kind of thing. So it's, that's all coming up on that March 31st through April 1st.
And then we wrapped up talking about what we're gonna be looking for, the community to look towards next. Here at the end, we have sort of the inventory of downtown and to update some of that and look towards the vacant building policy for this upcoming year, pretty much.
And
Just noted, it's 317 North Main, the upstairs is for sale.
Mhm. Yeah, I need to, I noticed that. You don't want to do anything that's not, already in there, just feel free to always send it over to. And then, is there anything else, economic
That was-
vitality?
That was pretty much it. That was the meeting.
And then the last thing, this was actually the same information that we had for last month, but events in Dakota are rolling on ahead on all of our events stuff. Sarah, you want to come give a little bit of a quick Garden Jubilee?
So Barefoot and Bears, all the bears have been delivered to their artists, so we are rolling right along with the bears. They will have until the 1st of April to get the bears complete, so they are with their artists and ready to go. So the art should be started on the bears right now. So that's going, Garden Jubilee. Very excited to report that we do have our international speaker, Bree Arthur, for the speaker series. So she is confirmed this year. We tried to work that out last year, but it wasn't a possibility for several reasons. One, she was going to be in Australia, and two, there was no way in the world we could afford her. But through two sponsorships by Supersod and Soil3 have come in to fully sponsor her this year. So she will be our headlining speaker.
About what? Gardens, or what is she gonna speak about?
It'll be different both days. She's gonna do a lot of demonstrations. She'll do some speaking, but mostly demonstrations on planting and plants, and yeah, we'll have everything in the brochure when that comes along. Also, we will have the gardens manager from Biltmore is already booked, and we'll have, of course, what I like to do, bees represented there, and then also branching out hopefully into homesteading for the speaker series, so that we're definitely excited about that. The Garden Jubilee is pretty much full. We have 3 small spaces and 8 large spaces left. We have 45 people on the waiting list. So we will open up we'll open it up to 15 people tomorrow morning, and they will have 48 hours to respond. And if those people don't respond in 48 hours, we'll move on, but there's probably by Friday, Garden Jubilee will be completely full. We are still working on a Garden Jubilee Speaker Series sponsor. We do have our main sponsor, which is Stellar Power Solutions, but we are still looking for the other, there's 2 really big sponsors. There is the main sponsor, but a very big part of that sponsor is gonna be the speaker showcase sponsor. So that does get a lot of attention. So we do want to make sure that we get that spot filled. So we're going out for that, and but so far that's been going really well. And then sponsorships on everything, Rhythm and Brews is rolling right along. And that we have August. We have our August musicians, so that's rolling right along. We'll be working on that through the rest of this month. And then sponsors are also rolling in for that. And then farmer's market is going. That's applications are open for returning vendors on farmer's market, and
yes, I mean, I
Yeah,
can speak a little bit
yeah.
more on it. So I opened it up to returning vendors. We've got about 50 returning vendors already signed up in about a week, which is really nice. We are expecting a hit on some vendors just because Helene took out a lot of local agriculture in the area. So what I'm doing, usually we get a lot of passive recruitment just from word of mouth and people wanting to join. This year I'm doing a lot more active recruitment to bring a lot more vendors in, vendors that we haven't had in a while, like a cheese vendor, and just a few other unique vendors. So I'm actively recruiting vendors at the moment through our social media pages, or reaching out to the ASAP, which is the Appalachian Sustainable Agricultural Project nonprofit, and a few other outlets. We just opened up to new vendors, and we just sent those applications out today. So we're gonna be getting those in the next couple of days. We do have a few promising new smaller farms, like Riverside Farms from Mills River wants to join the market. And Caitlin Farms, which is a beef vendor that was with us last year, is coming on full time this year as well. So our diversity is really growing down there at the market. And as far as May 3rd goes, I am kind of opening the gates to more vendors to come join, because we do want to branch out into the events. We're gonna be utilizing all that space when we can. And we do have a lot of interest from vendors that want to participate in the event as well. Those are all of our special event dates. They're pretty on par with last year. A few changes. Wellness Day, historically in the past, it's been kind of a simple event. And last year we got some interest from Council on Aging and some different assisted living communities on kind of doing a senior appreciation day. So we're kind of combining the two, and this year we're doing a senior wellness day to cater to like our retirees and our, older population in the area. And then Hispanic Heritage Day and Pink Day. I'm gonna finalize those dates soon. I was hoping to talk to True Ridge about Hispanic Heritage Day, but they're a little busy right now, so we're gonna send that out soon. And then Pink Day, Terry and I are gonna talk to Party, who's our presenting sponsor, And that's gonna be a new event this year where it's a breast cancer awareness day, where we're all gonna be wearing pink. The vendors are gonna be selling pink things. And we're hoping to get like the Mammo bus there, things like that. But as far as the market goes, we are ahead of schedule on a lot of things and we are super excited.
So cheese vendor, are there any other specific types of
Cheese
vendors?
vendor, fish vendor, and unique sweets vendor. We just lost a macaron vendor, so if I would really be interested in like local chocolates or just anything like that. We do already have a lot of baked goods, so if anybody here's like local candies, chocolates, ice cream, things like that, send them my way.
So you did mention expanding the market a little bit?
Specifically like for the third, so we're broadening up to Lana's side
Yeah.
of Maple Street. So I'm allowing a few more vendors to like fill the spaces. Usually we have about 45 to 50 vendors max in our layout. So if other vendors want to participate in the Street Fest event,
Yeah.
we can use those spaces up there while still having all of our rooms out
So
in the market.
for this,
May 3rd, mostly crafts and stuff. There's not as much.
At the farmer's market?
The first one, I thought they.
there's usually a good amount of produce.
We always keep a ratio of craft to farmers. We usually keep it about 5 to 6% craft vendors per what the rest of the food and farms are. And I said this in another one of our meetings, sometimes vendors cancel. And the easiest vendors to replace those vendors are craft vendors. They're just easier to get a hold of and they can easily fill a spot. So on some days it might seem that way because I'd rather have a full market than a scattered market. And so some days might seem a little more craft heavy than others.
Have you approached Vans? I mean, they make chocolates, obviously. They might do one farmer's market on Chadwick.
Worth a shot. We've not reached out to them yet. The sweets vendor thing is kind of a newer thing as I'm getting applications in and vendors are telling me whether they're gonna participate or not. It's kind of a active cycle. But what were you saying?
Oh, I was just gonna say, all things considered, when we look at the growth of that market the past couple of years, I think it'd be really smart to consider this year to be a banner year for the market.
Yeah.
I mean, look what we did last year and we had full disruption closure on 7,000 for the entirety of the market season.
Didn't stop
So,
people from coming either.
It didn't. So this market, it's on a one-way track.
Yeah, and I can speak a little bit to that point. I just finished the annual report for the market and our numbers from 2023 are on par with our numbers from 2024. And we lost 6 regular market days due to the storm and plus the streetscape. So we had a fantastic year, all things considered. So just bearing that in mind, we're expecting 2025 to be an amazing market.
Absolutely.
So Art on Main, Apple Fest, not on the list.
Cause these are the events that
These are
Yeah.
the Friends of Downtown event. These are specific to Friends of Downtown, the ones
Yeah.
that we do with Friends of Downtown. And I did just want to mention, as far as sponsorships go, if any of you have anyone that pops to mind of any good fits for sponsorships for any of the events, feel free to give me a call or just let me know. You don't have to really even approach that person, say anything to them. If you just want to tell me, I am more than happy to ask or go make a presentation or anything like that. More than happy to do that. If you just have any leads or know of any good sponsors that would be a good fit for any of the events, I'm happy to run with that.
Our number one property owner.
As you said.
Yeah. Oh, we do, do you have,
Absolutely.
Yeah,
do you have his?
yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Questions on events?
All right, moving along, everyone. New business. Jamie's gonna talk about board meeting procedures.
This was actually a request of Phil from last month.
No,
For-
don't blame this. on me.
And then you're,
You did a good job today.
My complaint will take about 5 minutes.
It doesn't.
well, that's
Phil's.
really.
Whatever.
That was I had just put as what our rules of procedure are. We don't have to go over them necessarily. It was just kind of a reminder for it.
Then we can skip to my point.
Yeah, that's all. That's the reason why this is.
Some things.
Yeah.
My point was a question of decorum. Last year, last meeting, I was disgusted. And if it ever happens again, I'll get up and walk out and will not come back. This board is not a place where that kind of proceeding should be tolerated by anybody. And I was embarrassed having the city in here with us when this was taking place. Most everybody was here, so I'm not gonna dredge this up, but you know what it was. And that's not the kind of conversation, discussion that this room should have, especially with these rules that James put in this package. That should have been dealt with quickly, tabled and scheduled for later time. I'm done.
And just included the rules to have, because it asked about adding the.
I think that's,
Included.
it's actually
A good way
a
to,
good follow-up.
to check back in if we're.
I mean, Phil, since you brought it up, can you just be a little more clear without, I mean, we don't need to talk names, but just so that we're all on the same page.
The last one or two?
This is obviously very important, so.
Not the last,
Number.
last year. Yeah, this room, you know, sank into a shouting match with city manager, councilman, finance, all present. And that conversation was started because someone who's not here asked that it be placed on the agenda. All right, simply to bring it up. And it got more than brought up. And it got taken over and turned into a shouting match, which was simply embarrassing. And didn't solve anything. So, you know, that's the extent of it, right? And it was all about shutting the city down for events, street closures and all that. So that's the subject matter, but, damn, that was ugly.
I think one thing that while we're just on the meeting structure is part of with that one, it got to a long meeting because we had a very long discussion about parking before. And so I think when we have several items on an agenda, just keeping it, keeping conscious of time, because we tend to have by about that hour mark, we start losing people. And so I think that's just something that we'll want to just be conscious of. So then that way there's items at the end of the meeting that are actionable items, but then we don't have a lot of people left in the room. So I think that might just be something if there's not action on an item at some point with the discussion, have to figure out a stop or table point, I think might be a good practice on that possibly.
Well, you just need a big gavel.
Yeah, well, would it be appropriate if things are at the last minute like that to have some kind of agreed upon, you know, let's set aside this many minutes for this addition that we weren't expecting necessarily, and then take it to a vote, should we table this, should we switch to the committee? And have an agreed upon cutoff, or at least a spot where we can all calm down and, you know, decide together if it's worth continuing that day.
I think that's a fair.
So if that's the direction that a meeting goes in, then it's up to the chair to address what you put out here. It's up to the chair to do that.
That's
Well,
right.
it's if
So-
something's brought up to be added, it's a board,
Motion.
it may be a majority vote to decide whether to add it or not. I think, is that what I'm reading right here?
Yeah. Mhm.
I was just referring to decorum. If
Yeah.
if we have a breach in decorum, that, you know, the policies would be that chair would reestablish the decorum through whatever means they felt that was necessary. So, I mean, it's all about going forward, right? Like, you know, so I'm going forward, that needs to be that needs to be understood, that there is a decorum in this committee, and that's how we get things done, and that's why, especially with city staff present, it's important, and, but, it's up to chair and vice chair to steer that ship.
I'm gonna say, who's the backup for that?
After chair and vice?
No, yeah.
So if chair, that's gonna be the last question I ever ask in here. It'll be fun.
If chair and vice chair are arguing back and forth together and then I'm, Jamie's got to stay. We're all gonna look at Jamie.
You go like this.
Yeah.
I feel like there's like multiple requests to stop and move the conversation and table it. And that happened 10 times in that meeting.
Yeah.
We said, please stop, not the time, not the place, and it just kept going. So, I mean, with all respect, I think it really is something that just has to be voted and in that minute, and it's get tabled and brought up another time because it was just too contentious and it was too hot.
Must have been a lot going on and
We needed baking soda or something to put that fire out. We needed something, 'cause it was.
Yeah, I think when there's a motion or a second, I think that's a good kind of trigger to like, okay, stop and to move on. That way, there comes to a point in a conversation where it's not creating any kind of next steps. So I think that's a fair thing to say.
So going forward, it would be the responsibility of chair to basically get a motion to address the situation and table it for future conversation or for.
well, I don't think it can just be the chair though.
Well, it should.
But anyone can call,
Anyone.
anyone can make a motion to move forward. And so that might just be as a group when items are added, or if items are kind of carrying on a little too long, kind of having a general understanding of time for it. Cause I think that's probably where a lot of it kind of gets antsy is at that hour and a half point and people start leaving and time as a part of it.
For everyone's edification. And nobody left at that time.
Mhm.
It was still a full house, but this falls under point of privilege. Any member can raise that. Doesn't require a vote. It requires a request. And you can interrupt the speaker if necessary. But if you call point of privilege and request, it has to be followed.
We will have a mock meeting where we'll practice all, not a real one.
I don't agree with that at all.
And another thing.
You took my parking space again.
I do feel that like what you were bringing up, I think at one point about it's up to chair with coordinating the decorum. It's one thing to stop a conversation or an argument, whatever's happened with that, but the decorum thing, yeah, whoever is in charge that day, that chairperson, obviously.
I think that's where it should
keep it.
start.
But I would
Yeah.
also, to the point of saying if both chair and vice chair are there, obviously now we have two people. I don't think there's any reason why vice chair can't be the one. Especially if perhaps chair at that point is the one saying something,
Yeah.
vice chair can jump in and be like, all right, I think we're taking this too far. Like so I think those two people, I think really have some pretty big power as far as keeping that decorum.
I mean, not to say that this isn't important, we're talking about it, and this is obviously important. I'm glad you brought it up, but that's the first time this has happened in any committee meeting that I've sat on in how many years?
That's probably the first
That's the first time we lost.
If at all.
Yeah, so, I think that, not that, I mean, it's an opportunity to look at that and to move forward and like, have this discussion that we're having, but, as far as, the committees, I mean, it's been pretty.
It's not happening.
Oh, yeah, no, not at all.
Bill's gonna leave.
I will say, some people are very passionate about certain things. And there may be a lot more backstory than some of us know about it. From me just sitting here on this side, I'm like, there's something obviously more to this that I'm trying to figure out. And when it gets to a point where there's no figuring it out, somebody wants to get the point across. But you can't figure out what that point is. It's like, let's just chill, because there's no use voting on anything. There's no use making a decision on anything because there's too much crap that's running around up in the air, and it's like, let's move on to something else like pretzels or something.
That's a great go.
How about those pretzels?
I'm ready for it.
How about politics? Let's take some politics.
Yep.
So, but thank you for bringing that up and thank you all for the conversation. That, you know, it's important to have this in front of us as a tool for, you know, the meeting. Kind of, you know, how these meetings are supposed to work, you know, I mean, it's important to have this down. It's a great reference tool. All right. Do we have anything else on that, Jamie? Any other business anybody wants to bring up? Any baggage, any emotional, just let it out there.
I'm just thinking of grievances.
To the bike shop about are they participating?
I have not.
I think they've been, they should have been on that email list.
Yeah.
That had been notified, just as a save the date.
Yeah, I've been to a lot of festivals like that. That's a nice presence to have there, to like have a tent with a bunch of bikes out to demo, people ride around and.
Sure.
They do like a group ride around.
Yeah, I've been trying to be good about getting around to our neighbors, but I'll definitely reach out to Sycamore. Thank you.
I have one final small question. Maybe you might know the answer if you talk to somebody or Jamie. Are we getting benches or tables on?
So they had to get pulled from the project budget, and so they're in our CIP budget, and all of our CIP budget got pulled for this current fiscal year. And so right now, when we're getting like in this time of year, it's kind of getting towards the end of our budget year. And so what I'm looking at is what's left in like our supplies and materials budget. So then if there's some remaining, I'll be able to purchase some in this fiscal year as far as chairs and tables. And I know we've talked before about maybe not having benches there on 7th and having other types of seating. And so I'm looking at some pricing.
That they can't lay down on?
Yeah, so, because
When we looked at it, it was more like, I think also the idea would be to get the street reopened, kind of see how people are using the new street, kind of. And also outdoor dining is gonna be a big deal.
Mhm.
I can tell you, I mean, there's gonna be outdoor dining permits up and down 7th Avenue. So from a layout standpoint, if the city does provide city furniture, where would it be that wouldn't interfere with outdoor dining permits? Because like Claywood's going after one, I'm going after one, Brad and his wife across the street definitely be going after one.
And you're all gonna do the same color umbrella and the same, you know, whatever, all no logos.
I mean,
Yeah.
you've seen the round tables, the integrated tables that they've gotten Brevard now.
Yeah.
I mean, in front of your place, that would be dynamite.
Yeah.
You know, because they come with umbrellas you can
All right.
take off, but it's an integrated table set with.
Well, and not to be specific but just from a layout and also talking about outdoor dining, what that's gonna look like. I mean, in my building, that's quite a bit of outdoor dining. There's an opportunity in front of that building, whether I'm in it or not, for whoever's operating that building, if they're taking the whole building, to have basically a very large outdoor dining segment, you know, so what does that look like? You know, I think that would be a great idea, like especially in front of a bakery, to have like a communal kind of table where people mill about and like, you know, you could sit, you could stand kind of thing, you know, I think that would be great. But definitely ultimately having some city furniture, I think would be some branded city furniture at specific locations would be great. I mean, you know, historically speaking, and I haven't seen photographs of this, but I've been told this by numerous people that back in the day, back in the 20s and the 30s and the 40s, that there were park benches up and down that block of 7th Avenue. So there were historically, I would love to see photographs of this, but I've been told there were benches up and down 7th Avenue, and they would come to 7th Avenue to like get their goods and services, but also just to sit with the neighbor and visit. Wait for a train or get the news from people, you know, coming up on the train. So there would be to have some benches, but I understand the issues that benches might create. You know, I mean, I think you can speak to this as well, as far as loitering or, you know, like as far as that traffic on 7th Avenue, it's all but gone. You know, I mean, I see all of it's moving now. So where we did have, you know, issues before with individuals, you know, stopping and standing or sitting for a while, I don't think you see any of that either. So, so I think, I've been diligent. I've been working even more with the mission about going forward and like, and I think, you know, they're on board with, you know, anything that they can do to adapt their business practices with the changes in the district as well. So, that's why I think both of us have reached out to the mission about being part of the street festival because, you know, and I've said this for years, I've been very vocal about the fact that Hazard Rescue Mission is not going anywhere. They are very much a part of our community and they're part of our district. And working with them as a partner is essential going forward for the growth of Seventh Avenue especially. So I think for them to have a presence in their new building, get to talk to people firsthand about what they actually do and the services that they provide would be beneficial for sure.
And that actually reminds me of something unrelated to Seventh Avenue, but for Main Street, they are, I think it's through American Rescue Plan funds. I can't, or it might be through something else, but the city is working on some cameras, security cameras for Main Street. And I believe they'll be on the stoplights. When we have some more information on those, we'll bring it to the board just so that way y'all are aware, but they've got those, so that will help with, you know, tracking of crime and then also help with like when there's big events as far as just kind of observing the street and everything for that,
But not for traffic,
like,
just safety.
like getting tickets,
Yeah,
like for
running
a red light. No, yeah, I mean, they might be like, if there's a car accident, they'd have footage of what the problem was.
Primarily
So you gotta.
security and safety.
Not gonna be issuing
A lot of cities do that, I'm just saying.
Yeah, not like if you run a red light, they like, you see the flashing happen.
Happens in a lot of bigger cities.
Yeah, and there is just more for the security side of things. So that's just something to,
You know, remind the city that, they can potentially reach out or have a discussion with, Greg at the Fairmont. Because that's one of his kind of check the box,
oh, mhm.
Is that the developer from Florida?
yeah.
Shipman's son-in-law?
They wanna see, you know, sidewalk improvement, security cameras. You know, for their clientele, obviously, that out walking. So,
I mean, since the Fairmont project is gonna have a definitive effect on downtown, does anyone in the room have any general updates about the timeline of that project? Cause I haven't heard anything. Chris? Yeah, Chris?
Something out about the first building next Valentine's Day weekend?
end of the year, right?
I think I saw something.
Yeah.
I shot you a quick glance. It was quick. I didn't go, does anyone in the building have anything? Anybody? Bueller? All right, unless anyone has anything else, this has been a very efficient meeting. I'd make a call for motion to adjourn, or wait, do I adjourn or we make a motion to adjourn?
The motion.
I make a motion. to
There it
adjourn.
is.
Or you could just say I move to adjourn. Get out.
Second.
Get out of my office.